This is the Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fort Hall School of Government and Professor Mutahi Ngunyi. Today we want to announce to the country that all is not well with NASA. In fact, we want to hypothesize that maybe there is no NASA, and this is our reasoning. One, we doubt that NASA will announce a presidential candidate on the 22nd of March as promised, not because they have disagreed, but because there is a political trickster amongst them. They all know the trickster, but no one has the courage to pin him down. And the result of this is paralysis. In the meantime, the trickster wants to delay the selection of candidates until it is too late. This way, the others will support him at zero option at the 11th hour. Then it will be too late for the other candidates to fish for alternatives.
The date is Wednesday, March 22nd, just over 2 weeks from now. And the occasion is the NASA Delegates Conference. After months of tension, NASA has happily settled on a candidate. And the surprising candidate is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. The country is flabbergasted. Although happy, we are a little uncertain. Our biggest fear is Raila. Did he sacrifice his family pain and historical humiliation to make Kalonzo president? If Raila sacrificed for Kibaki in 2002, it is because he had no choice. If Kalonzo sacrificed for Raila in 2013, it is because Kalonzo had no choice. The Ferrari presidency in Jubilee could not accommodate him. If Raila sacrifices for Kalonzo, it is because he is desperate, not because he loves country and hates corruption. Therefore, Raila is not desperate. And if he is not desperate, why would Kalonzo become the NASA candidate and not him? Our submission is simple. If Kalonzo is the NASA candidate, it will be because Raila will have been tricked. Period.
The date is March 22nd, and the NASA delegates are about to announce a presidential candidate. Mudavadi and Wetangula are non-starters because they have been eliminated by the NASA cartels. Kalonzo has also been beaten into submission. In fact, he did not appear for this delegates conference, dubbing it a kichinjio. At zero option, therefore, the NASA delegates ratify Raila. Then they declare Kalonzo a traitor and marinate him in the usual acidic pessimism. Any attempts at deviating from this scheme at the NASA conference attracts the men in black. On March 22nd, therefore, the candidate will be Raila Amolo Odinga, or else the men in black.
The problem with NASA is that they're using an old map to find new lands, and this is why they will fail. They cannot use the NARC formula of 2002 to create NASA magic in 2017. They will fail. And this is why we must give them strategy. One, they should stop pretending that they are consulting on who the candidate will be. The country does not believe them. In 2007, they told us that they were consulting, and then Raila became the candidate. In 2013, they consulted, and then Mudavadi realized that he was being cheated. He left ODM and ran alone. Now Kalonzo is where Mudavadi was in 2013. Kalonzo is now being cheated with his delegates and consultation story. Two, and for the love of NASA, the candidate is Raila. No Raila, no NASA. If Raila is not the candidate, he will run on an ODM ticket. Period.
Dynasties are vicious institutions, that they are jealous, they are mean, and they are unforgiving. And the Odinga dynasty is not any different. Its political base was built by mixing raw sweat with the soil. Ifa Raila shuttled between prison, detention, and Nyayo House most of his youth. And although his father was a founding father of his nation, he suffered house arrest, humiliation, and national rejection. In sum, the Odinga dynasty has labored with pain to change this country. In fact, my estimate is that they have put in over 100 years of labor to create the Odinga base. And the question, if this is true, therefore, is the following. Is the Odinga dynasty prepared to hand over this base to Kalonzo? Is Raila prepared to sacrifice the 100-year-old inheritance of his children for Kalonzo? And the answer to this question is a resounding no. And I'm praying very hard that I'm not wrong on this one. More so because miracles in politics do not happen. They are caused to happen. And if Raila is not the NASA candidate, he will have performed a miracle, in my view.
For a 50-year-old nation, there has got to be options that do not destroy country. And this is why we want to invite NASA to consider the following. If their formula for choosing a candidate will lead to betrayal and men in black, they should instead consider the law of natural selection. This law has many variations, but we will give you our interpretation. If the Delegates Conference of March 22nd will collapse NASA, we need to stop this tragedy. We should send the NASA principles to the jungle of political competition. And the one who survives this jungle should become the candidate. Put differently, they have to hang separately or they will hang together. Kalonzo must run under Wiper, Raila under ODM, and Mudavadi under whatever party. If they do so, they will force a runoff, and the winner amongst them will be the NASA candidates.
If the NASA principals run separately, they will force a runoff at zero option. Then they can reconvene NASA as a runoff omnibus. In Liberia, for instance, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf garnered only 19% of the votes in the November 2005 election. The winner of that particular election in the first round was a footballer by the name of George Weah. But Weah did not get the 50% plus one that he needed and could not be sworn in as the president. But during the runoff, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf shot from 19% to 60%, defeating George Weah decisively. And this was the strategy all along. The idea was to deny the popular George Weah the 50% plus one that he needed by fielding many candidates. Then during the runoff, the defeated candidates would combine with Ellen Johnson and they would go on to capture government. And this is how they won. But can NASA execute such a clever scheme?
NASA is where Ford was in 1992. Ford was a grand coalition of anti-Moi elements led by Raila's father. But like NASA, it was also a coalition of equals. Jaramogi, Matiba, and Kibaki saw themselves as equals. And because of this, they could not agree on a single candidate. They had to break Ford up. In the end, their total vote was 62.4% compared to Arap Moi's 36.6%. But under the old constitution, Moi was sworn in as president. If this was today, the combined vote of opposition standing at 62.4% would have thrusted Ford to power in a runoff. And this is the point we are making to NASA. The best option is to run separately and then force a runoff. In this situation, the winner amongst them will become the NASA candidate during the runoff. In the 1992 election, Matiba would have been this particular candidate. And I'm very sure that Kibaki and Jaramogi would have supported him. And if that had happened, they would have garnered 62.4% and taken over government. What's my point here then? If NASA uses a NAC model of 2002, they will lose. But if they use a Ford formula of 1992, where they run separately and then come together during a runoff, then I think they have a good chance of winning this election.
NASA is a machine with the heart of a lion, but the brain of an ox. They only understand pedestrian strategy. And this is why we will give them a third scenario. Maybe one of them should negotiate with Uhuru. Uhuru's coalition has only 2 people and NASA 4. Between men in black, political trickery, and negotiating with government, which is more painful? In our view, the NASA principals should man up. They should negotiate for positions on the Jubilee side. And the first one to do this will change the course of our country.